So over the weekend, the internet was abuzz with the news that Candace Owens had departed from the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Or as they said, parted ways, which is code words for we got her out of there.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be here. Okay, so Outkick put out an article on the 22nd that was a pretty solid article. And it was published by Bobby Burek. Shout out to Bobby B. But
Dude sounds like a TV character.
like a 90s New York rapper.
Bobby Burek.
All right, so Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring announced on Thursday, which is funny, the news didn't really break throughout the internet to the weekend, that the company had parted ways with Owens. She joined the company in 2021 and has since acknowledged the news. While newsworthy, Owens' departure is hardly a surprise. She had public tensions with Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro for months, stemming from their conflicting perspectives on how Israel should handle the war in Gaza. In November, an attendee at one of Shapiro's speeches uploaded a video in which Shapiro called Owens' coverage of the war disreputable. The question is about Candace Owens, said Shapiro at the start of the video. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful, without a doubt. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. This is last November. It was unclear if Shapiro knew someone was recording him. I'm sure he did because he's Ben Shapiro. Or whether the video captured the extent of his comments regarding. But days later, Owens went on on Tucker Carlson's podcast where she said, Shapiro's comments about her speaks volumes about his own character. So they had this inner tension. She then responded with a cryptic message on social media saying, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other, quoting from the Bible. She concluded, you cannot serve God and money, and it is at that point that Shapiro told her, you should quit if you believe that working with the Daily Wire interferes with your relationship with God. So fast forward, news breaks. As an entrepreneur, as a leader yourself.
She said, I saw the quote, she said, finally free.
Yeah, she said, finally free. And I actually want to pull up two clips from her that supposedly are like the straws that broke the camel's back. I think it was already in the works.
The tension is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know it as well as maybe you do, but she's essentially just questioning why we should have blind loyalty to Israel and wondering if there's some other ulterior motives actually going on.
Yeah.
That's essentially it.
That's essentially it.
And historically speaking, especially coming from Catholic and Christian faith, it's always been like, no, you support Israel no matter what. At least that's how I was raised. You maybe weren't raised that way because you weren't necessarily raised in the church. But as my eyes have been opened, I've started to question the motives and the things in the chess, the geopolitical chess that's being played. So I have some of the same questions.
Right.
Obviously, he's a devout Jewish man, and so he probably feels a certain type of way about that.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I mean, I think if nobody should be made to feel uncomfortable in their own company. Right. And so he has the right to say, hey, this is not working out.
Right.
And vice versa. Welcome to capitalism, right?
Yeah.
You don't like what the product or where you work, you can go do something else. So it probably ends up better for Candace. She probably ends up going and building her own platform where she can say whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't have the platform. I think, but Daily Wire helped her in a big way, so.
Yeah.
Something to be said for that.
Well, and to her credit, she's always been honoring of that platform and grateful. And dude, it's very interesting. So from the standpoint of the issue, I think a lot of people are having a hard time delineating Israel from a governmental sense from Jewish people who are Israel.
Right. And it's the difference between, I took Jewish culture in college, and there's a difference between practicing Judaism and being of Jewish descent.
Right.
Like I can be Greek and be Christian, right? But I can't be like a Christian descent, like culturally. So the culture and the faith of the religion are intertwined, but that doesn't mean that the government necessarily is, practicing Hasidic Jews, right?
Right.
So that's the point that that we're getting at, because you didn't understand that.
Yeah, there's levels to it. And I think that's the Ben she's was questioning is from that political side of like, why is there this unwavering support of this from this political side, this governmental side?
Which is the seat that she generally sits in.
Right. And so I think the fallout from this, so there's two clips. One where this is some of her actual verbiage, and then we'll look at the other clip where you could tell, my bet is that she already knew this was over, like ahead of time. Like they had already made this decision. It wasn't like a surprise, obviously. So let's listen to this clip.
Because what it registers to me as is power. Real power hiding behind a veneer of victimhood, the kind of power that can take somebody out and end their entire career if that person says something that they don't like. And in this case, it's not that I'm saying things that they don't like, it's that I'm refusing to allow my voice to be controlled. I want to be clear to you guys. I'm going to be honest with you because everybody's noticing it. Every single political commentator in America, every single one of them knows this, that if you do not step out and say things that are radically pro-Israel, or if you are too quiet on certain narratives and they want you to be radically pro-Israel, you can lose everything. That's truth. That is a fact. I'm not feeling like I need to hide from that anymore or be afraid to say it, rather, is a better way to say it, because I've endured this for years. I'm just at the end of my rope. I have given so much rope here, and I am just done with it. Every person that you are a fan of, they know this. Every person that you line up to go here speak, they know this. Again, it's not even on the basis of what you say. It can sometimes be on the basis of what you don't say. That an entire mob will assemble. They'll write piece after piece after piece until you subjugate. If you don't subjugate, the bounty grows larger. So yes, there was a large bounty on my head.
I mean, I tend to agree. Like anytime there's a tactical, strategic takedown because you don't align with a certain narrative, there should be some question marks going through your head.
Right, and she has every right to push back on that.
Correct.
And really, the fallout from this, from the standpoint of this, is actually that it's for the Daily Wire. It's not a good look because technically, it appears you're firing someone because you don't agree with them, and it's leaving a lot of people on the conservative right, per se, or the Christian right. In terms of how they consume media and how they think about politics, wondering like, what in the world is happening?
Well, because Ben Shapiro does have a lot of Christians that listen to him.
100%.
And so he's potentially, causing a rift there. But I mean, God bless capitalism.
Well, that's the piece, right? And so you're going to see her stock is going up.
Yeah. Well, and she's got a platform on Twitter that she can
huge platform.
grow. She could do another Tucker Carlson move.
Yeah. No, I believe she started growing her channel too, even before she joined with them.
Yeah. Almost 5 million subs, 4.9.
Yeah. So she's got that. And the Daily Wire obviously has to be careful because there's other discussions happening. The whole Christ is King thing that you might have heard about. There's a lot of talk within conservative circles where there's open faith, where people are like, basically things are boiling down to like anti-Christ and anti-Christian, anti-Jew types of narratives. And I think people are searching for a place right now to where they can find leaders and people who are putting out media that really align with what they want to see happen in this country.
Right.
So it's a very opportunistic time for both companies both brands rather, to do something that has a positive impact.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully for her, she has her own platform, so she'll be all right. She's going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have to play this last clip from her. I don't think we need to play that from her. But ultimately, it's just rehashing. She basically was just saying how she's enjoyed her time and how she won't back down and she's on Team God and things like that.
Yeah, good for her.